Today we're talking about a fun topic: how to handle insults as a leader. Let's be honest, no one likes to be insulted, but how we respond can make all the difference. It can either escalate a situation into a bit of a disaster, or it can calm everything down and you can demonstrate true leadership and strength. As a leader, you're going to face criticism, negativity, and sometimes outright insults. It comes with the territory. Sometimes people are going to disagree with your decisions. They're going to challenge your authority, and if you're really unlucky, resort to personal attacks. The key is not to let these moments derail you and undo all of that great leadership work that you'd previously been doing that highlighted to everyone what a great leader that you are. Instead, we want to navigate these with grace and strength. If you've been in leadership for a while, you will know that there can be a few people around who will take their energy from a negative or bad situation. They might actually enjoy having a bit of public argy-bargy with their manager, particularly in public, particularly in front of an audience. They think that it can give them a bit of kudos to stand up to the manager in front of everybody. We can all probably remember a time at school when the naughty child is really rude to the teacher in front of everybody. And we might have all enjoyed this moment of light entertainment where we didn't have to do school stuff and we could just watch and not have any consequences for ourselves, but get to see this whole live entertainment show of the naughty child talking to this teacher in a way that we would never dare to do. Do you remember any reactions from teachers? I can remember a few reactions where teachers would get so angry, they'd yell and they'd send the child out and it would be a big deal and excellent entertainment for everybody, particularly during math. However, I can also remember this one particular teacher who just used to look at the child quite coldly now that I think about it, but in a way that was really detached from what was actually happening. She would just stare at them and then calmly walk over to the door and open it and just stand there. The child knew that they were being instructed to leave the class and go to the principal's office, and they'd just do that because they were getting nothing back from the teacher. There was no reaction, there was nothing on their face that would indicate that they were annoyed. They were just nothing, impassive. I remember thinking secretly that it was actually really impressive. There was something about that approach that I really admired. She was calm, cool, and collected, would say nothing, and the child would just walk out. I will often remember this in those unfortunate situations where I kind of want to yell at somebody in my leadership role. Doesn't happen very often, but every now and then someone will really irritate me, and I'll think of this teacher standing coolly, calmly, with nothing on their face. Hopefully that's me. Now, you would have heard this often enough before, that the person that is throwing the insults says more about them and who they are than it does about you. They could be projecting their own insecurities, frustrations, or biases. Even though this can be hard to take and hard to think about when you're in the moment, I would often assume that they're obviously going through something if they're reacting in a way, particularly if it's out of character. Because presumably if someone is insulting you in your leadership role on a frequent basis, you're going to be dealing with that with a hard conversation. And if you want some tips on how to have a hard conversation, check out the video linked on your screen. For me, thinking that it's about them and it's not to do with me can help me detach so that I'm not emotionally invested in this conversation. Having a thick skin can definitely help in leadership. You do have to move past worrying what others are thinking of you and continue confident in your own ability and what you're trying to achieve in your role and the decisions that you're making. There could be times when an insult is actually quite hurtful because it's accurate. But if you can shift your mindset and this is not about me, this is about them and try and ignore it so that you're not reacting, that is definitely going to help. Some practical strategies that I use to help me get into this space include that classic, take a deep breath. Your initial reaction could be to get defensive or angry. Resist the urge to just get this out. Take a deep breath and just take a minute to just collect yourself before you respond. This can also throw the other person a little if they're expecting you to respond reflexively. But the stopping to breathe thing is actually a real thing. There's been a lot of research done on how it actually slows down your nervous system and can reduce that cortisol response that your body makes when you're under stress. Look it up. Flowing on from this, don't react immediately. A delayed response is often more powerful. It shows that you're not easily rattled and you're choosing your words carefully. Don't get caught up in that idea that you need to quickly respond with a witty response to shut them down. You're not a kid at school. You're a leader. Even if you're feeling angry or hurt, try and keep your demeanor really calm and composed. The deep breathing and not responding immediately are going to help with this. It demonstrates emotional intelligence and gives you leadership presence. It also feels kind of powerful to not give them any indication that what they have said has had any impact on you. Sometimes the best response is actually no response. If the insult is only being said to provoke a reaction and you know that, the best response is to ignore it. It can help diffuse a situation. Other times, a brief acknowledgement can also help diffuse a situation. It really does depend on what is happening. For example, if you need to acknowledge it to diffuse it, you could say something like, I understand that you feel that way, and then let it go. Leave it at that. If the insult is related to a legitimate concern or criticism, address the concern or criticism, not the way that it was delivered. For example, if somebody criticizes or insults your leadership style, you could respond with, I'm always open to feedback to improve. Can you elaborate specifically on what it is you're concerned about? It's also important to set boundaries. Communicate what kind of behavior you're prepared to tolerate. If someone is repeatedly resorting to personal attacks, I would want to get on top of that real quick and set some really clear expectations around the behavior. No matter how tempting it could be, do not stoop to their level. Do not respond to insults with more insults. This will only escalate the situation further and damages your credibility. If you have ever experienced a manager or leader insulting other people in response to them insulting them, you will know that this potentially will lower the reputation that they have in terms of the respect that they get from their team. You do not want to be seen as reactive and abusive. It'll destroy your leadership reputation and could potentially result in a personal grievance claim. And you can always learn from it. Even insults could be feedback that could help you in your leadership journey. Is there something in what they are saying that you could learn from or build on? Handling insults with grace and strength is not about being passive or weak. It's about demonstrating emotional intelligence, self-control, and leadership presence. It's about choosing your battles and focusing on what truly matters. Remember that your response to insults reflects on you as a leader and demonstrates the type of behavior that you expect from others. By handling insults with grace and strength, you're setting a positive example for your team and hopefully creating a more respectful work environment. Being able to be calm and composed in this situation really highlights your leadership strength and the ability to manage your emotions, which is all about emotional intelligence, which if you want to work on yours in your leadership, check out the video linked on your screen. And thanks very much for watching.